What's going on? Welcome back to another video. I'm Chris, and today we're talking about what I've been playing for the past week. And I would say this was probably the most successful week that we're going to have in a long time because I beat not one but two games. One of which I started back in early January at the beginning of the new year, and one of which has been like a more recent endeavor, but very fun nonetheless. I guess it was probably one of the quicker start to finish in terms of start date and end date. So the first game that we're talking about today is Evil West, and I played this on the ROG Ally using NVIDIA GeForce Now. Really great performance for the most part. I think I only had really a few hitches here and there. Visually, it looked stunning. I'm very glad that I went with using GeForce Now because I was playing on the ROG native and it wasn't the most, like the battery was tanking. It was like maybe 45 minutes on turbo. Performance mode, it was just a little too hitchy. It's an action, a character-based action game like your Devil May Cry's and stuff like that. So I definitely wanted to make sure I was getting like a fluid experience. I had no latency with the service. Sounds like I'm doing an ad, but I'm obviously not. So the game itself, I must have talked about this last week, but I'll have to review the previous weeks. But anyways, it was 16 chapters, and I played about 2 chapters a day, give or take. There was a little stretch there where I was getting a little fatigued towards the middle, and that is my only thing, is like the pacing. Sometimes it was a lot more dialogue heavy when I wanted to just get back into the action. Some upgrades took a lot longer than I would have liked. But I would say the first 3 chapters of the game were like cooking with gas or however, whatever were pure high octane action. I was super invested in the story, and they kind of dump you in the middle of something. So I think that kind of adds to the intrigue, which kind of fizzles out as the time goes on. And then, yeah, I was just kind of like getting sick of all the characters towards the middle in terms of like the story and the storytelling presentation and all that. Cutscenes are beautiful. The dialogue, there's some really, really funny bits. It's way over the top action. This game is by Flying Wild Hog, and I was just looking at their, gameography prior to this, and they did this. I was right. They did the Shadow Warrior trilogy, like the new ones. For the PS4 and PS5 respectively, so that makes sense. All the profanity, not in like I thought it was hilarious. Sometimes they're just adding a lot more spice to a sentence than is entirely necessary. But yeah, I love it. That's if you're new to the channel, that's like very much like my humor. So I'm all about it. So yeah, visually stunning throughout. Some good diversity. I heard a lot of people complain about how orange it is, especially on PC, but I personally liked it. It really popped on the ROG Ally screen, which I still think is like pretty damn good. It's not Switch OLED by any means, but it's stunning. Obviously, I don't have a Steam Deck or a Steam Deck OLED, but whatever. ROG Ally screen kicking on all cylinders at 1080, so that was lovely. Yeah, combat was awesome. Yeah, so the presentation, the story, it does pick up, at like the 2/3 mark. There's some incredible stuff. Like once it gets you rolling, you don't really stop in terms of like your intrigue. So there's just like a little stretch in the middle where it's like, what the fuck are we doing? And honestly, that happens in movies all the time. You have an amazing first act, like a big first act, finale. And then they have to kind of pick themselves back on their feet, or like, they establish what the MacGuffin is or what their mission is, and they kind of like, are doing things here and there to get to that mission. And then something crazy happens at the end of the second act, and then it's holy shit, we're barreling towards the third act, the final battle, all that. So, it's just it's fine. I didn't drop it. I was probably worried about nothing. Honestly, it's been like crazy. Behind the scenes. So the fact that I was able to beat it at all was very nice. I looked forward to, as long as I wasn't looking at it like work. And yes, I used 2 chapters a day as a guideline, and I tried not to go more than 3 because I was getting kind of fatigued from there is enemy variety, but sometimes like there are certain enemies you just don't want to face that you're like, oh my god, like not this again. So all that being said, like those were only my real downturns. It does end on a cliffhanger for it to set up a sequel, and I'm so used to like these AA studios getting closed down or whatever that I was like really worried that this was never gonna get a sequel. But I think it probably will. I don't know how well it sold, but I know it didn't go to Game Pass day one, so I'm hoping it's sold at least like, you know, like maybe like, you know, 1.5 million, hopefully, across all platforms. Obviously, it wasn't on Switch, so yeah, I don't know how well it sold, but you know, that's a pretty consistent studio, so fingers crossed. Happy to finally play it. The combat. So I rated it an 8.5 or a 9. I think probably 8.5. In how long to beat, and on GG, I think I gave it a 9. Like a no, yeah. 4.5 stars is what I'm trying to say, and that is almost exclusively for, like, yes, the visuals, but the combat feels so great. It's very much Gears of War meets a little bit of Devil May Cry Bayonetta, but oh no, I did talk about this on camera, and a little bit of God of War 2018. Yeah, I talked about this already with the cooldowns and the abilities and everything. So yeah, absolutely addicting gameplay. You know, obviously it could use a bit more diversity in terms of what you're doing, but the puzzles were fine. I enjoyed those. But yeah, it's really like, it took me a long time to kind of level up all the perks that I wanted, and maybe this is by design, but once you got there, I feel like I was mowing over everything in my place, but not in a way where it felt too easy. I would still die, but there was a long stretch where I didn't die for like 3 chapters, and, you know, would only die on like the boss or something like that, or if I wasn't paying, if the dog got my attention. So it really felt like a well orchestrated like symphony, you know, when things were all firing. Like, there's no like story spoilers or ability spoilers. You get like, I'll say a thrown projectile, you know, like a grenade essentially, and it's like, all right, whatever. But the upgrade there's an upgrade that you get for each weapon, and I will say the upgrade for basically that for the dynamite, the grenade, like, changed everything, made me so much more engaged in every battle, not just like running around waiting for my special or farming guys for blue energy, like that I was kind of doing in the mid game, and I was getting a little sick of. So, you know, it's a little bit weird how it all played out, and I would have liked to be able to kind of mess around with my perks in between missions, at least. Even if I can't do it mid-mission, you got to find these like machines that help you reset your perks. But I don't know, I'm like, can you guys just work with me here? I understand that you could probably cheese the system and like have the boss battles be lame if you just like overload all of one type of perk before a thing and then you swap it out. Like, I get it, but that is where this game really shined, is that those last 3 chapters with how powerful you feel and like the powers you have at your disposal, and like hitting all the cooldowns perfectly. I was timing it to a T, especially the last couple bosses. Like, it was awesome. Like, they were hard and I had to learn the patterns, and I was a little frustrated at times with where I would get tagged, you know, when I had dodged it. I thought so, but nothing like, you know, Eliza P, or I'm currently playing Knack on PS4, and it's so fucking annoying how non-responsive like the dodges or the combat are compared to, like, you know, real action games. So it's nothing like that. An exceptional game that got like a little bit long in the tooth, no pun intended, and I didn't care about some of the characters for a stretch, but they find a way to make you care. So would highly recommend it. I'm imagining this is probably the first game I've beaten in this series so far, and if you like Gears, if you like any action game really, if you like third-person shooters by any means, at least try this game. I'm sure it's getting lower in price. I was stoked for this game to a Humble Bundle because that I accidentally bought because I didn't, or a Humble Choice I should say, because I didn't, you know, skip it. So it all worked out in the end. Super happy to play it. Looks beautiful. So yeah, that is game number 1 that I beat. But wait, there's more, and this is actually the crown jewel of, you know, of this year for me. Well, that's not true. I've played so many good games this year, but Yakuza 0 was a journey. Real quick, I when Yakuza Like a Dragon first came to PS Plus at some point when I had PS Plus for some reason, and I played, I think like between 6 and 8 hours. Loved it. I was mostly playing it on the TV and then playing it a little bit on my backbone, and I couldn't really read it too well. And then I let my PS Plus lapse because I was only doing it a couple months at a time. I don't know like what that was all about, but anyways, it was probably when it was a lot cheaper. And then it lapsed, and I was like, all right, well, I had Game Pass at the time. They all came to Game Pass, so I started it back up. Was doing it mostly on like mobile and cloud streaming. Anyways, I've taken it. I started again on Steam. I've taken a couple cracks at Yakuza Like a Dragon. Absolutely loved it, by the way. Like, was blown away. I was like, this is incredibly captivating. The storytelling, I liked the combat. Like, the visuals were great. The writing was incredible. There's a lot of stuff that, like, now that I'm going back through the Yakuza games, I'm like, oh my god, these are all hallmarks of the series. But at the time, they were so novel. So, the taxis and Kamurocho as a setting, and like the random street roving gangs and stuff. Anyways, so love that. Didn't finish it. This was at the time where I was like finishing nothing. And then they announced Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name. I saw it, the trailer at one of the big showcases that summer, and I was like, oh my god, like what is this? I thought it was silly me. I thought it was going to be like this standalone. It's so dumb. They clearly set it up as like a sequel or like an interstitial, and I was like, I should start with this. And thankfully, I have no real memory of like some of the cutscenes. They were all shirtless guys punching each other, but they basically do similar to Avatar: The Last Airbender, where towards the end of the show they attend this play that kind of plays out everything that's happened in the series up till then, and they're doing commentary on the side like, oh, it didn't happen this way or it didn't happen that way. That kind of happens in Man Who Erased His Name, but anyways, and they reference a lot of what happened in Kiryu's life, but luckily didn't spoil too much for myself. Was loving the gameplay. The visuals are stunning in that game. Didn't finish it. I had a Game Pass. I let my Game Pass run out because I was only, at that time, I was trying to buy it like a month or two at a time to play certain games, and I don't know, man, what was going on, but I think I dropped it for Starfield or whatever happened. It came out around my birthday, which is why I even played it to begin with. I got Japanese whiskey, and I played some Yakuza, and it was awesome. And it just, I didn't finish it. So that was all my experience with Yakuza, and then got really heavy into Video Games Plus, the website, the vendor that operates out of Canada, and you hit like a $75 minimum to get free shipping, but they had so many awesome games. And especially around Christmas, Black Friday, like they had insane deals, and everything's in Canadian, so you feel like you're saving a little bit of money. So I ended up acquiring Yakuza 0, Yakuza Kiwami 1 and 2 off of eBay, the Steelbook edition. This is after talking to my buddy Ricky, shout out Ricky, at PAX 2024, and was just like, all right, I'm gonna go head over. This is around the time that Infinite Wealth had come out, and like people were loving that, so I ended up getting the remastered collection. That had gone up in price a lot, but I guess that was a more collector's edition version. I got it on physical. I got Song of Life physical, and then I got Like a Dragon for nothing, for like $12, the PS5 version. I got Infinite Wealth for like $20 around Black Friday. So, and Like a Dragon Ishin, which was where I was going to start the series initially when I saw that trailer as well, that like storied PlayStation. I don't know if it was a PlayStation showcase or just one of the best state of plays that we had in a long time. We had Like a Dragon Ishin, we had that Koei Tecmo game, not Wolong Fallen Dynasty, the other one, oh my god, it's on the tip of my tongue. You have like a fan, you have like a glider. It's I was just talking about it yesterday. Something of the Shonen, something of the Ronin, Path of the Ronin, something of the Ronin, whatever, that game, the blank of the Ronin, Koei Tecmo game. And there was like one other game that looked really cool that were kind of set in that era. Anyways, throw it all out the window. Oh, what the fuck was that noise? Anyways, Yakuza 0. So that's all my Yakuza stuff. Yakuza 0 started in January. I was like, how am I going to finish this? This game was like, 30 to 50 hours. And then it's like way longer if you do all the side content. I did a lot of side content early on and did really enjoy it. I think I got the perfect mix because I can't play this game forever. But I got some incredible, memorable side stories, especially with Majima. For whatever reason, whenever I was Majima, even though I was really invested in his main story, I did a lot of side content. And they were awesome. They were ridiculous. So, story, incredible. Twists and turns. I remember I'd play this game on the treadmill back in the day on the Backbone or the Portal sometimes, and I would literally stop me in my tracks with like some of the twists and some of the revelations, and there was just twists on twists on twists and double crosses and power struggle and truly like a Japanese Game of Thrones set in like the 90s or late 80s or whatever. Exceptional story. I love how it all came together. Some epic moments. They wouldn't let you screenshot in the last like chapter, which is a shame because there were so many screenshots I tried to take, even though I knew it wasn't going to go through. Love Kiryu, but goddamn, I worried a little bit until the end of the game, and I was like, nah, I fucking love Kiryu. But Majima, I loved his story. I loved the performance. I loved he was very serious. Like, yeah, he did some goofy shit here and there, and he spoke with like, or his dialogue was written with an accent. So I'm curious on how like the English VO would sound with him. But seeing him transform into like the crazy guy I knew him from games coverage in what ends up being Kiwami 1 and 2, and like however involved he is in the rest of the series, I'm very interested on how that all pans out. But oh my god, he has one of my favorite stories in video games in a long time. Obviously, I won't say ever. God of War 2018, Last of Us, some of the smaller games that I've played that have made me cry and stuff like that. It's not quite on that level, but it was just so good. Oh my god, I think of like the very end of his arc. I'm just not even going to talk about it. It was just so good. It's so satisfying. It felt like simultaneously the end of like a really good movie, and also like the first like 2 seasons of like a really good story. So a really good TV series. Combat I was gonna say combat was awesome. Combat was awesome early on, pissed me off later. I think I gave it like a 9 out of 10 for how good the story was, despite the combat being super frustrating. I remember hearing about the camera controls and how there's no lock on, and I was like, it's fine, because I had played Like a Dragon Gaiden, and it had pretty damn good combat in that game without a lock on. But yeah, oh my god, it was such a pain in the ass. Once there was like 2 or more characters that could all jab you at the same time, you would just get like 3/4 of your health taken out. And to be fair, I didn't upgrade my health or really any of my abilities until the very like halfway through the last level, which was stupid on my part. And I did that in another game I'm playing as well, Enslaved Odyssey to the West. I'll talk about that next week, because I'll probably have it beaten by then, where I just saved up all my orbs, and then but that doesn't help you, because you could have probably earned more orbs by not dying as much and done better earlier in the game with like better health or better ammo capacity or whatever. Same thing here, where it's like, what was I doing this whole time? I died so many times on like a specific boss, like a lieutenant, and that I could have just done the normal way, but with the right health and not used all my resources. Anyways, yeah, the resource thing was annoying. You only have like 18 or like 12, 15, 18 inventory slots, 16 maybe, and that pissed me off. And you couldn't get like a good energy drink everywhere. You couldn't really get it in Kamurocho like you could in the other place I'm blanking on. I'm not going to pronounce it because I know I'm going to pronounce it wrong. I'm getting hung up on the little stuff. Yakuza 0, incredible story. I can't wait I wanted to start Kiwami 1 right away, but I was like, realistically, let me just I had kind of, it took me this long to beat because I got to like chapter 10. I got from chapter 1 to like chapter 4. I was like enjoying, and then I put it down for a bit, and then was doing a lot of side content. Picked it up again, got from to chapter 7, and then got to chapter 9, and then I put it down for a couple months, and I picked it up and got to chapter 10 or 11. It was super just basically watching half a movie with all the cutscenes, and then finally picked it up and played it all the way through. I said I wanted to do like a chapter. Once I got to like chapter 11 or 12, I was like, I can do a chapter a day. I was getting like 1 to 2 chapters a day. Absolutely loved it. So I know it's possible, and I know this is one of the longest games in the series, and I can play through 1 and 2 pretty quickly. 3 is like a little bit longer but manageable. And I don't remember if it's like 4 or 5 that's like ungodly long and has all these different protagonists, but that's a problem for future me. It's a pilgrimage. That's another video I want to make, is the pilgrimages I want to make. Finally, I have one game beaten in the Yakuza series. It's this and Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed, I'm like most of the way done for the most part, but the games I have left are like 100 hours each, so that's how I'm kind of feeling about Yakuza as well. Once I get through Kiwami 1 and 2, it might be a little bit tough, but I love it, and I'm not gonna force it. There's no like deadline I'm trying to hit. They have games coming out constantly, so it's not like I'm gonna catch up anytime soon, especially with all their side games and stuff. And Project Century looks incredible. If I really am feeling that, I'll make sure I beat Kiwami 1 and 2 before that comes out. I think that comes out next year, so I'll be fine. I'll have 1 and 2 easily done and dusted, maybe 3. I don't know if I'll do 1 through 5 by then, but maybe. We'll see how smoothly they go. Once I started, like, I couldn't stop, and it was perfect for the Portal, honestly. Playing on the TV is very fun, but like I love this game for the Portal, especially when I have it hooked up to the router. Because I played for a while where I didn't have it hooked up to the router, and it would like degrade and like disconnect every couple minutes, and I would time it well, or I'd pause it when I could tell it was about to disconnect. So it's ridiculous, the things you do for Yakuza. That's what I've been playing. Nothing crazy. There's other stuff. I think I referenced Knack last week. Just putting in a couple levels to kind of decompress my brain. I did that this morning because I couldn't read any more dialogue in the games I'm playing on the side. But Evil West, awesome action game. From when I first saw the trailers, like on Twitter or Instagram or something. Instagram, yeah. They're like, is this Gears of War meets, it was on IGN, this Gears of War meets Call of Juarez? I was like, I haven't played Call of Juarez, but I own 2 of them. This game looks awesome. It is that like type of 360 style game that I miss, so I definitely want to play Vanquish as well. I feel like that would... Wanted Dead and... is it Atlas Fallen, Rain of Sand? Are all in my Steam library ready to go to follow in the footsteps of Evil West, having a nice, high-octane action game. Not quite like Knack. Knack is like, I really just want to shut my brain off because I don't give a fuck about the story. But yeah, so Kiwami 1, I think I'm saving for right when I get home from... Because I have all these on PlayStation. I have like 1 or 2 of them on Steam. I think I have like Kiwami 1 and... Like a Dragon, but like it would be great. But I think just playing on the PlayStation, I like having them all. And I bought them, so I'm not gonna buy them on Steam as well. But anyways, that's that. I'll keep you all updated. Next week, I'll be talking a lot more. I've really been playing the Switch 2, and this is just my Thursday to Thursday, or however I put it. What I've been playing for the week, really. And then I filmed this, and then onto the races, playing some other games I can't wait to talk about on the Switch. So next week will be a very Switch and Switch 2 heavy week. But yeah, I finished off a game on GeForce Now, so I'm proud of that. And then yeah, another game in my towering PlayStation backlog. But thank you so much if you got this far. And let me know, oh my god, I always gotta start with this. Let me know what you've been playing in the comments. I love hearing like what people are into, if you're like doing any pilgrimages. A big question, I'll probably try to lead with this a lot more often, is I clearly am all over the place with all the games I'm playing, which makes these videos a bit more interesting, but I would do that either way. I've tried doing the one game only until I beat it type of thing, and even with these games, I was playing 1 to 2 chapters a day for each game each day to make sure that like I was beating both of them, instead of, if I just prioritized Yakuza, I wouldn't have gotten anywhere, because I hit a certain point where I'm just like, alright, I can't take any more Yakuza today. I need to like let my brain relax, or it's like I can't take any more mindless action. I need a good story, and I can just bounce back and forth between the two. So and sometimes, yeah, you have a knack, you have a game that you're not going to finish, like Pac-Man World Repacked. I do want to finish that one day, but it was truly just like a nice palate cleanser one day, so, or like a sports game. So, anyways, that's that. Those are the two big games. I doubt I'll be beating any games this upcoming week, but actually, there's one in the hopper that should be beaten. Now that I think about it, so you'll just have to tune in and see what game that is. All right, catch you in the next one later.